Yo, what's going on? Welcome on back. It's the Coin Flip Podcast YouTube channel. Jacob Zimmerman, Martin Kelly. We got Jaimes Geren in the house, and you know what it is. We said we were maybe going to do it. We're going to do it. NFL regular season win total projections. We're going to do if we want to go over with this number, if we want to go under with this number, or if we are going to hold our money back and not place a bet on it at all. We got the projections as of, what's this website? Oddsshark? Yeah, shout out to Oddsshark, but how are you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Doing fantastic.
Yeah.
As usual.
So, right before we started recording this, I said I had an announcement to make. And Martin, I wanted to give this to you on the air, live as we're doing this. So as you guys know, we are all sports broadcasters.
Ooh,
James and Martin are finishing up school at Utah Tech. I have finished. And over the summer, I've been sending lots of emails, doing lots of applications, and I have landed a job. I will be going to, of all places, I will be going to the state of Iowa.
cool.
Not too far from Martin's hometown. Not too far from where James wishes he lived. And I will be doing afternoon radio, and I will be calling lots and lots of high school games. So
Ooh.
that's what I got going for the next year plus.
Nice, man. I'm proud of you.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, of course,
I know
man.
you guys are going to get something like that, too.
Well, seriously proud of you, man. Congrats on the job. Let us know how it goes, man.
It's a bomb waiting to go off for us.
But, you know, even with me getting that job, and I'll be starting pretty soon, a couple days. I'm actually going to be driving up tomorrow. But, we will still do our best to bust out content here on the Coin Flip Podcast channel. And I kind of want to do this same thing, the over-unders with the NBA, before that, you know, gets going. But we got to see where the offseason heads. But as of the NFL, we are about a month away from week 1. And this is the perfect time to do it. So starting off, over, under, or keep your money. Don't place a bet. We're starting off with the Arizona Cardinals. 11 wins in 2021. Their projection is 9 wins here in 2022. And if I didn't let you guys know already, I'm letting the audience know right now. The goal is 60 seconds per team. We're going to keep things short, things sweet, concise. You're going to hear the best of our points. We're going to keep it close. I'll start off. So Arizona at 9 with everything that's going on in offseason. You know, with the 49ers having trust in Trey Lance. With the Rams, I think an absolute lock to win this division and perhaps even get back to the Super Bowl. The Arizona Cardinals have kind of let everybody know with that Kyler Murray contract, hey, we don't have the best well-run front office in this team. I think it might carry over to the regular season. I'm going to go under.
Okay.
Take it away, one of you boys.
I'll take it away on this one. I agree with Jacob on this one. I'm going under on this one. The underline right now is at 160. The go over is plus 120. Even if I lost $60, if I put down $100, I'm taking the under on this one. The Arizona Cardinals, to me, are just an incomplete football team. They have moments where they're great, and they have moments where they look like they're a junior high school team, and it's just a mess, and I don't think Kyler Murray is going to get over this hump.
I got to agree with you guys. I just actually went through their schedule and went through every single week, and I have them at 9-8. So this team does have enough talent to win you those games that you need down in the crunch. But do they have enough players on the defensive side of the ball? I don't think they do. J.J. Watt's getting older. Chandler Jones is no longer there. So they're still having to find those pieces to get to the quarterbacks in a very, very tough division. So I'm going to stay right where they are at 9 wins.
Moving on, the Atlanta Falcons, the ATL down there in the NFC South. 7 wins last season. They lose Matt Ryan to James's Colts. And the Falcons' over-under projection for 2022 is now at just 5. Guys, with that being said, every single year it seems like there's going to be one team that almost is a lock to go 0-16 or now 0-17. But it never ends up happening. I'm going to say it's kind of close. I think the Falcons maybe get just 4 wins. Desmond Ridder, Marcus Mariota, it doesn't really matter. They might be able to get a win or 2 from the Panthers, but outside of that, I don't know. I'm going to go under.
This one, on 5, I'm going to go over. And that might sound like a much. I'm going over just by 1 win. I think they're a 6-win team. Yeah, Marcus Mariota, Spencer Ritter. Sorry. I think Ritter will eventually outwin that job over Mariota. Mariota's never been good since he got into the league. They do have some talent on defense. They do have Pitts on offense. I just don't see them having enough offense or defense to keep up with some teams, but I think they can sneak about 6 wins away.
I'm going to have to go with the under here. You lose your all-time passing yards, touchdowns, completions, you name it. He led them all. You just lost him, and now you're trying to scramble around the very next season with a guy who got kicked out of Tennessee, couldn't get any playing time in Oakland, Vegas, so now he's got to go to Atlanta, where there's really not that much competition. Outside of Cordero Patterson, this team really doesn't have any weapons. So I see maybe 3 wins at the most for this Falcons team this year, and that's maybe splitting between the Carolina Panthers as well. So I have them hitting the under.
Well, they actually do have another weapon, but he's sidelined for the whole year. Ridley. He was doing exactly what we're doing right now, going through all the over-unders. And we got to keep this going. The Baltimore Ravens. Lamar
Hold on,
Jackson.
just one play. One say, you guys are really underestimating Kyle Pitts. I'm telling y'all, he is a legit tight end.
He's a legit tight end, but he only had 1 touchdown all of last season.
Ryan barely had 3 seconds to throw the football.
He still had a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. The offensive line was bad.
But
the whole team was bad.
We could do this all day, but we got to keep it moving. All 32 NFL teams over under hold. Baltimore Ravens. This one's interesting. 9.5. The money definitely favors. You're going to get more out of it if you go for the under. However, it's kind of a risky one. The Browns, who knows with Deshaun Watson. The Steelers, who knows how good of quarterback play they're going to get. I haven't got the chance to look at the Ravens schedule. I don't even need to look at it. I think they're going to get 10 wins over 9.5.
I agree. Over, they're the clear-cut favorites to me to win this division. I know people are going to be like, wait a minute, you forgot about Cincinnati, right? Yeah, I did not forget about Cincinnati. I trust Baltimore. They're a better, fundamental, sound football team. Cincinnati's fun to watch. We'll get to them in a few minutes here, but I'll take Baltimore on the over.
Yeah, I'll agree with you guys. I'm looking at their schedule right now. It's kind of rough for the first 9 weeks of the season up until they hit their bye week. But then after that bye, Panthers, Jaguars, Broncos, Steelers, Browns, Falcons, Steelers, Bengals. So other than the Broncos and the Bengals, those other 5 games or 6 games are really in their favor. And they got hit with the injury bug last year. So I don't think a lot of people are really blaming them for how they ended that season on a 6-game losing streak. So I do expect them to come out with a little bit of more fire and to maybe get 12 wins on the season as well.
Buffalo Bills, 11 wins last year. Oddsshark has them at 11.5, slightly bumping them up. I think the Bills, they're a good team. They kind of coasted a little bit last year in the regular season. I'm going to say they learn from their mistakes. They get the coin toss right, but in the regular season, I think it's too hard to deny them 12 wins, especially in that division. Even with Miami improving, I think they got it. 12, I'm going over at 11.5.
I am actually going to take the under. I think they're about a 10-win team here. I think the Buffalo Bills. Something about that defense. Something about that defense just. Do they have enough? Do they have enough to get over that hump? I trust their offense. I know their defense is stud, but I don't know. I can't get over that defense and that failure in that game against Kansas City. Will that haunt them? I don't know. I'm taking the under.
I think I'm going to stick right at. Actually, no, it's a half. So I'll go with you, Jacob. I think they can take 12 games. Week
Yes!
1 is basically going to be the, no pun intended, the coin flip on whether or not they're going to hit this mark or not. I mean, they got the defending champs on Thursday night, week 1, first game of the regular season. And then other than that, I mean, you got the Packers, you got maybe the Steelers. I mean, it's a really favorable schedule, so they could easily get to 12 games now with, or 12 wins now with 17 games. So I'm going to take the over with you.
Now, this next team is it's a little special. The Carolina Panthers, and now, man, I have not seen a line this low on Carolina all offseason at just 5.5. Boys, this is a little bit disrespectful. I'm slamming the over. I'm breaking the bank. I'm going to put my entire first paycheck from this new job all down to the Panthers over. No, I'm just kidding. But I think Christian McCaffrey, when he's healthy, I think that's an automatic couple wins. I think Baker Mayfield, if he can establish any sort of connection with DJ Moore, that's a couple more wins. If some of our guys in the back end and our secondary can stay healthy throughout the whole season, I think we'll have one of the best defenses, maybe a top 8 defense perhaps in all of football. Then everything's going to crash to the floor in the second half of the season like it always does. Even with that said, I think they're still going to get at least 6. Over.
I'm debating here, Jacob. I think I'm just gonna slightly go over at 6 wins. Something about their offense. If Baker Mayfield can get on somewhat of a page with DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, Baker's got the ability to throw the ball down the field, even with a collapsing pocket. Just look at his rookie year. He had a terrible offensive line in front of him, yet he still found a way to put up good numbers. The defense is solid. That coaching staff will find some way somehow to get in everybody's way and just demolish everything. I'm just going to take the slight over on this one, but I also will say I think if the money is on whether Matt Rule gets fired or not this year, I say Matt Rule gets fired after this year.
I think I'm going to join you guys, but, and this is the only reason why. They won 5 games last year with Sam Darnold, Cam Newton, whoever else started, whatever. If Baker Mayfield plays all 17 games this year, they're going to win at least a third of them. I mean, that's just reality. He's not a terrible quarterback, and he's going to win you some games. DJ Moore's still there. That defense is very nice. I think 6 wins is pretty much what they're going to get this year. So we're going to go with the over.
Yeah. Now we got Martin's team.
Oh, Lord.
6.5. Now, Martin, I really hope that I'm not the first one to break this news to you. I really hope you saw it earlier today. But the best player left on the Bears, Roquan Smith, middle linebacker, has requested a trade.
Wait a minute. You just unleashed an entire dog. Did you just say he's the best player on my team?
He's the best player left. Yeah, Roquan Smith.
What
and he wants out.
You must be drunk. I'm going to give you a test on that. Are you nuts? Oh my God.
I'm going to say Chicago. I'm hitting the under 6 wins tops.
Oh my God. I'm glad you're so recording this. First of all, it is a massively disrespectful at 6.5. They're going over, okay? They're going to win 11 games this year, all right? You guys can stop it with the Roquan Smith talks and he's going to get traded and whatnot. You know what? The fact that Roquan Smith hasn't signed this contract is all because of Darius Leonard, all right? Over there at Indianapolis, breaking the bank and setting a new record for the market. Thanks, Darius. I appreciate that one. The Bears are going to be over. They have a better offense than most people think. They have a solid defense because everyone keeps talking about how everyone is gone. Not everyone's gone. This coaching staff has got everyone on the right page. This team is going over. I'm smashing that. I am going so homer on this. You watch. 11 wins will be what the Bears get.
I think I'm going to go on the complete opposite end of the spectrum here.
Of course
I'm looking
not.
at the schedule right now. They might start off 1-7. I mean, there's just not really anything that I can see that gives me anything to work with, really. I mean, Justin Fields, he's a nice fantasy quarterback, sure, but is he really going to be the guy that leads these, I mean, they lost Allen Robinson. I don't even know who they have catching the ball for him now, so 6.5 for them to expect 7 wins. I can't see it, so I'm going to have to go with the under.
Moving on, Cincy. The Bengals. Joe Shiesty coming off that Super Bowl appearance. 10 wins last year, projected 10 wins this year. And boys, I might have to do it. This might have to be the first one I keep. You look at the odds, minus 115. Either way you put it, I think this is probably the best bet out there. I mean, the best odds out there as far as accuracy. I don't want to touch over or under on the Bengals at all. I think they're a team that can gear up towards the postseason. You never know when a Super Bowl hangover is going to hit somebody. I'm keeping my money.
I'm going to go under on this one. I know their defense is strong. They lost Larry Ogunjobi, their best defensive end inside. He left for the offseason. They don't have Bates signed under contract. He's playing on his final rookie year on his contract. He's looking for a brand new contract. He might be gone from Cincinnati after this year. I get it. They have a great offense. Their defense was sketchy last year. They did fix up the offensive line, but it's still not solid. And besides T. Higgins and obviously, Joe Mixon in the backfield, and obviously number one on that team is just electrifying, plus Joe Burrow. I don't trust that defense. I say the under.
Wow, I think you guys are not giving them enough credit. I'm going with the over, and I'm smashing this over. I mean, this is probably one of the easiest ones in my mind. Their first 9 games of the season, they have one team that was in the playoffs last year. This team has a chance to start off 9-0. But after the bye week, it gets really, really complicated. You got the Titans, the Chiefs, the Bucks, the Patriots, the Bills, and the Ravens to end the season. So this Cincinnati team's going to have to catch fire early because later on, November, December, January, that schedule is going to be brutal. So I'm hitting the over 9-0 to start the season off.
So now we got the Browns, and here's what we're going to do. They won 8 games last year. We're going to imagine that 8 games is their projection for this year, and I'm going to go under. I think Deshaun, the NFL appealed the suspension. 6 games, 12 games, I think there's going to be a massive cloud over Cleveland. There already is, but there's going to be another bigger one, and that's going to be the Deshaun Watson allegations. No way in my mind does Cleveland win 8 games under.
I am going to agree with that. I don't see them getting above that. Jacob, the last time we did the Coin Flip podcast, you and I talked about Deshaun Watson. We kind of did almost like a projection of what we thought what they would do after possibly Deshaun Watson comes back or not. Right now we know he's suspended for 6 games, but the NFL is appealing and trying to get an indefinite suspension due to his allegations. James knows Jacoby Brissett. He was in Indianapolis. He's okay. I mean, he can at least throw the football, but it determines whether he's throwing it to the right team or not because he has that tendency to, find one person and is actually not the right team. So, yeah, they do have a good defense. Yes, they have a good running game, but I don't trust Jacoby. And even if Deshaun comes back, I think he'll be rusty, and all the allegations hanging over his head will contribute to him playing bad. I take the under.
Yeah, I'll agree with you guys. Whether or not Deshaun plays or not, I think we should do an over-under on how many games he's going to be suspended for. I think that would actually fit this agenda a little bit better. But no, Jacoby Brissett, he takes care of the ball. And that's probably the number one thing that you can do as a backup is just go in there and don't turn the ball over. Move the ball down the field and just don't turn it over. And that's what he does. So can he win 5 games, 6 games? Maybe. Just because Cleveland's skill positions are so much better than what the Colts were when he was the starter there. So 6 wins is my ceiling for the Browns this year. So let's take the under.
Moving on, the Dallas Cowboys. Man, somehow they won 12 games last year. 10.5 is the win total 2022 projection. I think this might be the easiest under on the whole list. I don't know how they're going to swallow the loss of Amari Cooper. Everybody on this team wants to get paid. As soon as they get paid, they just fall off a cliff. Dak is kind of just left there with his arms open saying, what the hell happened to my roster from 2017? Jerry didn't want to pay the super big bucks to Von Miller. What else is there to say? Even Skip Bayless is questioning the Cowboys at this point. Big under.
I agree on the under. They don't have the significant depth of the wide receiver position. James Washington, their new signing in the free agency, he got injured. Their Michael Gallup's on starting this year on the injury reserve. They don't have Amari Cooper. They're weak at the wide receiver position. Yeah, they have Dalton Schultz, a good tight end, and they do have Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, a decent 1-2 punch, and they still have an average offensive line, and that defense showed some signs last year. I mean, Michael Parsons just electrified himself last year, being Rookie of the Year on defense. But with the Dallas Cowboys being the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones will find a way to run this into the ground. I say under.
So the number is 10.5, and if I could stay at that number, I would. But and you guys know how I am about the Cowboys. I love watching them lose almost as much as I love watching anybody lose. But with that being said, this weak division, they can get 11 wins. So I think that they're barely going to sneak by that over projection. But there also hasn't been a repeat of division champs in this division in 18 years. So that you also have to take into consideration as well. But with the Giants being as bad as they are, with the Commanders not really knowing what it is that they're going to spit out, and the Eagles being another questionable mark, I can't see the Cowboys losing more than 6 games. So I'm going to take the over, but just barely.
Oh. So now we got another interesting team, the Denver Broncos. Everybody knows the quarterback they just got. Let's ride. I think that's been the trend all off season. Man, one of these teams in the AFC West has to lose 8 or 9 games. You guys know I'm high on the Raiders. Man, I got to go the under for the Broncos. Broncos are getting compared to the 2 situations. Stafford going and joining the Rams, and Tom Brady joining the Bucs. Both of those guys had essentially no offensive weapons the year they left their old team. Last time I checked, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are legit almost as they come as far as a 1-2 punch and receivers go in the NFL. I don't see the Broncos getting to 10 wins, even with their talent.
I'm going to go. I'm going to stay right at 10 wins. This is one of those that I'm going to stay at 10 wins. The Broncos have a decent schedule. I mean, you could look at it being good, or you could look at it bad. But I still think they'll be more talented than the Chargers. And even though the Raiders got a good offense, their defense is suspect. They always have been. The same thing with the Chargers. Even with Bosa and Khalil Mack on that defensive line, I'm going to stay right at 10 wins.
This is also, another one of those where one play is going to determine whether or not this team hits that over or not. And I don't think that team's going to make that play when they need to. So I'm going to hit the under, but just barely, 9-8. I mean, this defense was 8th in total defense last year. They were just on the field way too much because Drew Lock couldn't sustain drives. So now you get this veteran guy, and he's got some nice weapons to work with. His offensive line's kind of, it has its ups, it has its downs for sure. But I don't think Russell Wilson's going to come into this system first year and just completely light it up. I mean, last year you kind of saw him kind of losing some of that spark a little bit. I mean, this isn't the guy that we saw with the Legion of Boom. He's turning 34 this year. So I think 9-8 sounds about right. A lot of people would probably give me some pushback for that, but I love the sound of 9-8 for the Broncos.
Detroit Lions coming off a 3-win season. 6.5 is the over-under. Boys, Detroit had a lot of close games last year. You know, they're a team that really has bought into Coach Dan Campbell, given that he's a former player for that exact team. It's a feel-good story, and even in this division, going up against Chicago twice a year, I gotta hit the under. I'm going to say 5 or 6 wins. They're going to have a lot of close games again. DeAndre Swift, he was a really nice fantasy pickup for me last year. You put all that together, and all that comes out is Jared Goff is your quarterback. I can't give him over 6.5 under.
I am going to go. I'm gonna go over, and it's just gonna be at 7 wins. I don't think they get anything above 7 wins. Yeah, the Dan Campbell era had a good story to it last year. They were in a lot of close games. I mean, the Baltimore game came down to one of the most tremendous field goal kicks by Justin Tucker, and it's why he got paid $24 million by the Baltimore Ravens. A mudslide game between them and Pittsburgh. The couple games they had against Minnesota. I mean, they were just in a good amount of games last year. They just can't get over that hump. I see 7 wins. Everyone criticizes Goff. I mean, he does know how to protect the ball. He does know how to actually throw it and get guys open and have some success. TJ Hawkinson can be healthy. If DeAndre Swift can be healthy, they have an average offensive line. The defense has got somewhat of a structure there. They just need to be a better sound football team. I say 7 wins.
I'm probably going to go with the under too, as well. There's just too many holes, and you're right, Jacob. They did lose a lot of heartbreaking games last year. Games where you thought they should have won. 2-3 minutes left, they're
Justin
up,
Tucker.
change the game, and all of a sudden you look back and they lost. So that shows that the players are bought in, and usually in year one, you're fixing up the edges. You're seeing, okay, what's our foundation? What can we do better? And now this is year 2 of that system. So I think the players who are coming back, the returnees, are going to be even more fired up. And you guys didn't even mention Amon-Ra St. Brown, the guy who single-handedly won our fantasy football championship for you-know-who last year. That guy was putting up 150, 200 yards, get about 9 catches a game. I mean, Jared Goff was finding this guy on almost every single play. So if they can build up from that, it's nice promise. But that defense, again, it's not going to be able to keep this offense close enough to win more games. So I'm going to go with the under. I say 5 or 6 wins as well.
Green Bay Packers. Now, I might not be tripping on ayahuasca, but I do know that the Packers have some talent still there, even without Davante Adams. Now, this is a tough one. You know, everything in the offseason is going to tell you to hit the under. Everything that happens in the regular season is going to tell you to hit the over. I'm going to meet right in the middle. 11 wins, that's perfect to me. That's fine. I'm keeping my money. Who the heck knows what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers this year? I still think he's going to be great. But the loss of Adams, maybe not enough on defense this year. 11 wins is fine with me.
I agree with 11 wins. I don't think it'll be over. I don't think it'll be under. They do have Robert Tonyan on at the tight end spot. Sammy Watkins is nothing. He'll be there for like 5 or 6 games and then pull his hamstring and he'll sit out an X amount of games. They do have Dobbins, but we'll see what Dobbins can do. He didn't really do much either in Baltimore either. Randall Cobb is there, but Randall is just more of the sense just there for Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, 11 wins is fair to me.
It's surprising to hear that from you, Martin. A lot of people are expecting the Green Bay Packers to fall off. I'm not one of those guys. Yeah, everyone's saying Davante Adams is gone. Who's he going to throw the ball to? Did you guys know that the last 3 seasons before Devontae Adams showed up, he went 31-9 in 3 seasons and had over 100 touchdowns. I'm not worried about Aaron Rodgers not performing. I'm worried about guys letting him down time and time and time again. How many times have we seen a player on the Green Bay Packers make a bonehead huge mistake that ultimately cost them a game? That's what this season is going to come down to. Can Aaron Rodgers continue to be at the same rate that he has been over the last couple of seasons? And I think he is going to. Back-to-back MVPs. I don't really think that there's any way possible he's going to get a third in a row. I want to go with the over. I think I see another 13-win season in the brew.
Ooh. Now we got the Houston Texans. Down there, bottom of the country, having to eat the dust of Deshaun Watson. But they got the new kid, Davis Mills, playing pretty well despite the terrible roster. You know, I think the Jags are going to take a step up. I think the Titans are still going to be okay. I think the Colts will improve from last year. I don't see 5 wins, even in a 17-game season. Sorry, Mr. Mills. I'm going to go slightly under 4, just like they got last year.
I'm going to go massively under. I think they have a potential of going either 0-17 or 1-16. This team is drastically terrible. They're not even close to being a good team at all. David Mills, long neck Mills, is the only thing that looks like some type of relevance in Houston. I don't trust this team whatsoever. They're just god awful. I say one win is their only win they get this year, and they'll find some way to
It'll come
get
against the Colts.
It'll come week 3 when they play the Bears. So you're
right. Very funny there. Whatever.
I'll agree with you guys. I'm going to hit the under. Oh, did you have more to say?
No. I'm okay with that. I think it's the under.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to go with the under as well. Not much to work with. Brandon Cooks is your leading receiver. And for fantasy, he's great, but, you know, you got to have more than just that. And Davis Mills, for as much negative talk he got on social media, actually didn't have that bad of a season for a rookie quarterback. He actually finished in the top half of rookie qualifiers. So, I mean, I was not blown away by Davis Mills, but I'm not going to say that this guy's the future of the team. So, with that being said, I think 3 wins is about what they get.
Now we go to the team that James has been waiting to talk for all night long, the Indianapolis Colts. 9.5 is their projection after getting Matty Ice in the offseason to go along with a top 3 running back in football, the best offensive line, in my opinion, in football. 9.5 is the over-under. Man, this is tough. I think this number right here comes down to Derrick Henry's health and perhaps how good the rest of the AFC is. Boy. Man, James, I don't know if you're going to like this one. You know how running backs get a ton of touches, look really good. The next season, they get injured. If I had to put my money anywhere, it would be the Colts slightly under a half at 9-8.
I agree, 9. I agree, the under. Listen, I get it. They do have good offensive weapons. They do have good defensive weapons. I'm not denying that at all. Jonathan Stewart is a stud. Darius Leonard knows how to play the linebacker spot. He's worth every penny. You just wait. Matty Ice is no longer has ice in his veins. He's all cooked up. He is beyond well done. He will not be productive at all next year. I say the under. I think it's about 8 wins for the guys.
Wow. So they lose Carson Wentz. They get a quarterback who's better, and they do the same, if not worse. Okay. Well, we obviously know I'm going with the over here. You added Stephon Gilmore in the offseason. They traded for Yannick Ngakoue, who's had 8 sacks every single season he's been in the league for the first 6 seasons of his career. Him, Reggie White, Aaron Donald, and 2 other Hall of Famers are the only ones on that list. That's it. So not only do you add that, but you also bring in Alec Pierce, who is from Cincinnati, who's a big target, making a lot of noise in the offseason training camps. Now, Matt Ryan, he's interesting. Everyone thinks he's a statue. He is a statue, and that's totally fine. But behind that offensive line, what did we see last year? Carson Wentz extending plays time and time and time again. And he kept making mistakes. Matt Ryan will eliminate any sort of that kind of a problem. I can see 11, 12 wins at the most, and I can add a whole lot more to that, but we're going to keep it nice and sweet.
And you guys call me a homer. That's a massive homer right there.
I mean, they only have 2 playoff teams in their first 8 games, so it's a pretty easy schedule.
I'll give you that. That's fine.
The Jacksonville Jaguars, which tie right into the Colts, same division. Boy, have they had to overcome a lot in the offseason. 6 wins is their projection. I'm going to say Mr. Sunshine, Trevor Lawrence, ends up turning not too bad. Doesn't have the Urban Meyer at the bar, getting torqued on story, going through his head while he's calling plays. He's going to get the 7 wins this year.
Under, there's no way they get to 6 wins. You guys are jumping on this bandwagon with Trevor Lawrence. I agree with you. Trevor Lawrence is good, but Christian Kirk's only good for running down the sideline. He's not a good route runner at all. They don't have a defense. Doug Peterson is a joke of a coach. Don't give me that he won a Super Bowl. He's lucky that Nick Foles pulled a lot of rabbits out of his butt to get him to that Super Bowl. And Malcolm Butler, if it wasn't for Malcolm Butler sitting on that sideline, that game's different. Doug Peterson's a joke of a head coach. No way they get to 6 wins.
I'm going to stay right where they are. I like the 6 wins. And looking at their schedule, yeah, I mean, you got the Commanders, you got the Texans twice, you play the Giants, the Lions. So, they have some teams that they can win and they can make that jump, but I think 6 wins sounds about right. I'm going to stay right there.
Kansas City Chiefs, a true test for Patrick Mahomes this year. You add MVS, you add Juju. Does that add up to how good Tyreek Hill was? We're going to have to find out. 10.5 wins is the projection. I think the division got a whole lot better. I think the Chiefs have had some games where they've looked questionable in recent years. I think they are going to have a little bit of a tough regular season, but they're still going to get to 10, a slight under with the Chiefs.
I say over. They're still the Chiefs. It's still Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid's got some plan up his sleeve. There's been a lot of talk about Sky Moore in camp. He's showing a lot of potential. He's coming out of the backfield. He's lining up as a wide receiver. He's doing a lot of gadget type plays with Sky. I trust Juju. I trust Valdez-Scantling. That's enough for me. Plus Pringle, I still think they're a legit team. Not Pringle, excuse me. I forget. I think it is Pringle. Maybe someone else. I forget his name. I apologize. But nonetheless, I think over.
Man, this is going to be interesting because I'm looking at their schedule. Their first 7 games, 5 of them made the playoffs, and the other 2 teams had 9 wins and were just outside of the playoffs. So their first 7 games is probably the toughest schedule in the NFL. So if they can come out 4-3, 5-2 in that stretch, that is an absolute win for them. 10.5 is the number. You look at the rest of the schedule, they got the Jags, the Texans, the Seahawks. That's another 3 wins, and I think 11 wins is probably what they're going to get. So I'm going to go with the over, but just barely.
Martin, by the way, your Chicago Bears got Byron Pringle.
There you go. Pringle is on the Bears. I'm thinking.
So we're never going to hear of him again. Is what you're saying. Another Darnell Mooney. That's what I'm hearing.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Whatever.
Las Vegas.
When was the last time we heard about Michael Pittman, huh? When was the last time we heard about him?
No need to even respond, James. Let the stats speak for this year. Las Vegas Raiders, the closest team to where you guys are at in St. George, Utah. Man, I really like what they've done in the offseason. Keeping Crosby around, getting Adams, old friend of Derek Carr. I think Josh Jacobs is nice. I think you could argue they have the best 2-receiver, 1 tight end set in all of football. Waller, Renfro, Adams. If their defense can just stop a nosebleed this year, I think they're going to be good. they're going to get to 9 wins somehow, some way, maybe even more. I like the Derek Carr odds for MVP, personally. That's something I might place a bet on. Maybe you already have, but I'm going to go over 8.5.
I'm just glad this is not the 2021 Raiders, because what a season that was last year. Gruden gets fired, Henry Ruggs with his situation, Arno Emmon going off and being a complete and total idiot. They had a mess of a season last year, and they still found a way to get into the playoffs, and that was impressive in itself. I'm gonna go over on this one. Devontae Adams is a nice step up. If only Henry Ruggs didn't do what Henry Ruggs did, and man, what a 1-2 combo that would be in the NFL. But nonetheless, it's Devontae lining up at that spot. He's good enough to get him help on offense. If I agree, if their defense can just stop, if their defense cannot give up more than 14 points, they can make some wins. I believe it's going to be the over for the Raiders.
I'm going to go with the under, and here's why. What are the Raiders notoriously known for over the last 20 years? Letting their fans down year in and year out. And so now they actually have something to kind of brag about. They got the best receiver in football. They got some nice weapons. Max Crosby's nice. But I think ultimately in the end, it's a brand new coach in Josh McDaniels. He's coming from New England. And I personally don't care for the guy. I just don't think he's head coach material. I think that he's a coordinator at best. I think that this was kind of a panic move for the Raiders. I think that personally they should have kept the guy that they ended the season with. I don't remember his name. But it seemed like the team really rallied around that guy, whoever it was. I think it was their D coordinator, I think, that got promoted.
Yeah.
Don't remember his name, but he did great. And then they just kick him to the curb, say thanks for being a substitute coach. We're going to bring in this guy who's already turned away an offer after saying he was going to take it. So I don't think it's going to work out. On paper, it may look kind of sexy, but ultimately, I think the Raiders are going to lose 10 games this year.
Moving on, sticking in the division, the Los Angeles Chargers. 9 wins last year, 10 wins projected in 2022. This is tough. This is very tough. I might have to stay right on the dot with the Chargers here. Their defense is nice. You could say they are a Walmart version of the Los Angeles Rams, who we're going to cover in a sec. They're just a slightly cheaper version of them. Boy, they have some household names on their team. Their season's going to come down to one man, Justin Herbert. Does he take that leap that everybody is just absolutely certain he's going to take? I don't know. We got to find out. 10 wins. I'm sticking to it.
I am going under, and the only real reason I'm going under is because their head coach. Listen, he spends way too much time in front of the computer crunching numbers than he does watching film, all right? I don't know what he was thinking still in that final game against the Raiders. All you had to do was just run out the clock, and both of you make the playoffs. Not only did he screw that up, not only did he lead them down a path where it's like, what are you doing? This guy, I forget his name. I apologize.
Brandon Staley?
Yeah,
Staley. There you go. I don't trust him. I think he's over his head as a head coach. I think he got lucky because he's got Justin Herbert. They do have Bosa. They do have Khalil Mack after trading for him. They do have some nice pieces on offense, but Staley will find a way to screw this up. I promise you. I'm going under.
I think I'm going to agree with you, Jacob. 10 wins sounds about right. If you look at their defense last year, they were 23rd in yards and 30th in points. That's not going to win you any games, and they still went 9-8. If that defense is average, 16 in both of those categories, they're going to get 10 wins. But until I see that defense come to life, I mean, they did bring in J.C. Jackson as well, so their secondary is loaded. Derwin James supposedly supposed to be back. I mean, there's a lot of hype here. Can they get it done? That defense is going to be the big question here. I'm going to stay right at 10.
Moving on to the Rams. 10.5, I think with the uncertainty around the 49ers, the Cardinals, them just being the Rams. Cooper Kupp, I love it. He has the single greatest wide receiver season of all time and is yet not even cracking dude's top 3 list of other notable wide receivers in the league. More fuel to fire. Stafford to Kupp, Aaron Donald on defense, Jalen Ramsey on the outside, Sean Hollywood McVay at head coach. That's all you need to know. Over. Easiest over on the whole list, I think. 10.5. Way more than that.
Yeah, I agree with over. They still have a studded offense. They still have a studded defense. Over on this one.
Yep, I think this is pretty easy too. The over. They added Allen Robinson, who did replace the loss of Robert Woods. So I think that just pretty much next guy up. I think Allen Robinson actually could have a bigger impact than Robert Woods did as well. But the Rams still have a loaded backfield. They still have Stafford. However, he is having some abnormal elbow pain, which he's never experienced before in his career. Is that going to be that big of an issue? I don't think it will. I mean, you still got Cooper Kupp, you still got Higbee, and of course, you still got the mastermind behind all of it. I think 12 wins and the over is going to happen.
The Miami Dolphins recently acquiring Tyreek Hill to go alongside Jalen Waddle. Boy, that's a track meet all right there. Man, 9 wins is not bad. I think there's only going to be one team, though, that makes it to the playoffs from this division, given how stacked the West is out there in the AFC. The Dolphins will put up a good fight. They'll make it close. They'll have a lot of breakaway, huge plays. But I think on the other side of the football, the defense, I don't know if I can trust them throughout the whole season. And, of course, you got Tua Tagovailoa. Nobody knows what's going to happen with this guy. I'm going to say 8 wins, just under.
I agree with that. Under. Tua Tagovailoa is not someone to trust, even though they have Tyreek Hill. Under.
Oh man, I don't even know what to think about this. I don't think Tua is an NFL quarterback, and that's coming from a guy who's from the same state as me. I just don't see it. You can give him all the weapons you want. You can give him all the speed that you want. At the end of the day, those guys are not as open as those Alabama wide receivers were in college. So he's going to struggle, and he's going to continue to struggle. The defense is nice. They're defensive first team. I don't see much coming from the running game, so that's going to have to ask Tua to throw a little bit more. And with the Bills being as good as they are, the Patriots have the Dolphins number. I got to go with the under as well.
Minnesota Vikings right on the dot. 8 wins last year, 9 wins this year. I got to keep it right at 9. I think Justin Jefferson could potentially be the leading receiver this year when it comes to yards, maybe receptions as well. Who knows? Kirk Cousins, maybe he has a little bit more expectations this year. Who knows what's going to happen with Mr. Average? Defense is solid. I think when you look around the league, this is about as I'm just going to say it. It's as mid as you can get. I think 9 wins is perfect for them.
I agree. 9 wins, right on that number. Justin Jefferson's elite. That defense will be a question. They have a new head coach. Kirk Cousins is still a joke at quarterback. 9 wins.
Man, I don't know what all the slander is over Kirk Cousins. I mean, he's like one of the... I'm not going to get into it. You look at their defense, 24th in yards per game. 30th in yards per game, 24th in scoring defense. The Vikings' struggles last season were not because of Kirk Cousins. He threw for over 4,000 yards, had 35 touchdowns. He's not the issue, and people want to continue to blame the quarterback game. He's not the problem. That defense, year in and year out, ever since they made that NFC Championship game with Case Keenum, and then they brought in Kirk Cousins and thought that was going to be the perfect formula. Well, the defense hasn't been the same since that season. So if the defense, and it's the same story as the Chargers, if they can get to an average defense, this team will hit the over, but that's a big if, so I'm going to stay right where they are.
The New England Patriots, Mac Jones, Mr. Belichick, Mr. GOAT coach. Boy, there's just not much left there. There's not much left there at all. 10 wins last year somehow, some way. I'm going to say under on this one. There's not enough talent around. I think Belichick is starting to fade just a little bit, boys. In that division as well with the Bills beating up on them now, the tides have really turned. Going under.
I'm going to stay at 10 wins. It's still Bill Belichick, no matter what. He'll find a way to
Whoa.
pull some magic out of that hoodie. Listen, we all know he finds a way, man. This guy's been involved in the game of football since the 60s. He's seen everything and knows everything. I'm going right at 10 wins.
Man, this is tough because I hate this team. I'm gonna go with the over. They were fourth in yards allowed and they're second in points allowed. And anytime you have a defense that's top 5 in both of those categories, you're going to win more than 10 games. So just based on that alone, not even including the fact that Mac Jones has improved significantly this offseason. Has he added more weapons? It's kind of the same as it was last year. But another year under his belt for Mac Jones going into year 2. I'm not saying they're going to win 13, 14 games, but if that defense is going to continue to do what it's been doing for the last 20 years, I can't see this team losing more than 7 games. So if I don't stay, I'm going to go just a hair on the over.
Mind you, that was without Stephon Gilmore, and that was without Chandler Jones, who were their 2 best players the year prior to that. So, considering that, that's why I say the hoodie man knows how to find magic.
New Orleans Saints. 9 wins last year, 8 wins projected this year. Jameis Winston gets back Michael Thomas. They got a guy in the draft that I can't remember the name of. They got Jarvis Landry as well.
They got Chris Olave in the draft.
There you go. Honey Badger as well is coming on down. Boy, I think this team is very interesting. I don't know if Jameis Winston is a guy I trust, as funny as he can be with his pregame pep talks. 8, that's a solid number here. I think they're going to be close to what the Panthers finish at. If I got to be respectful, I'm going to say the Saints. I'm keeping my money. I'll put the 8 right where it's at.
This is a debatable one. I'm deciding whether to stay at even or go under. They have offense. They have a solid defense. But is Jameis Winston going to finally figure it out? Because he is a solid 30 for 30 guy. He'll throw you 30 touchdowns, but he'll throw you 30 interceptions. So if he can get that under control and look like the quarterback he was in that week 1 when he beat Green Bay, then I will be proven wrong. But if he's the quarterback that was the week after that, after having that monster week, then it'll just be the same old Jameis Winston. So I'm going to go under.
This one, again, is a little difficult. This all depends on the health of Jameis Winston. I mean, just yesterday, he had to leave practice due to a wrist injury. Fortunately for them, it wasn't anything serious, so he won't have to miss extended time. But they do have Andy Dalton as a backup. Now, you can laugh about Andy Dalton, but he was your quarterback, Martin, for a year.
Yeah,
so, and he wasn't terrible when he played, right? So, then you look at their backfield. They got Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara, Malcolm Brown from the Rams, and then they had Tony Jones Jr., who was kind of their third option last year. And then you take a look at their receivers. You named some of them already, Jacob, but Chris Olave to go with Traquan Smith. Michael Thomas is finally playing again. So, and they have Jarvis Landry as well, and Marquez Callaway. This team has the weapons. Now it just depends on the quarterback play. Sean Payton no longer being there, it's really going to look different, I think, ultimately altogether. I think I'm going to stay right at 8 wins, though. I think 8 and 9 is more than what the Saints' expectations are.
New York Giants, 4 wins last year, 7 wins projected this year. 2 names for you, Saquon Barkley, Kadarius Toney. These guys stay healthy. These guys pop off. I think they get to 8 wins. They need a new quarterback. If they trade for Jimmy G, I think they'll certainly get it, but I'm going to lean the over.
Sorry, I'm trying to grab my mic. Under. If anybody trusts Daniel Jones, you're just as insane as a person who believes in Donald Trump, because there's no way in hell you should do that. Under, there's no way Daniel Jones gets him over the hump.
Yeah, their defense last year was 21st in yards given up and 23rd in points given up. So anytime you have a underperforming quarterback with an underperforming defense, you're not going to win very many games. And that's what we've been seeing the last couple of years. I think Daniel Jones has been given enough time. I think it's time to move on from him. Make the trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. Give your guys selves a proven winner who's got like a 70% winning percentage, which is insane. The
including 2
defense,
rings.
don't really see much there. I'm going to go with the under here. I think the Giants are still going to be holding a top 3 pick come next draft.
New York Jets. Zach Wilson, if he can sprinkle any sort of that game he has with the moms over to the game he has on the gridiron, I think he's hitting the over 5.5 here. But in all seriousness, man, this is the Jets. Who knows? I'm going to lean slightly under here. Man, there's just a lot of question marks everywhere on this roster. This is a team that, if they want to have a chance of winning a Super Bowl, later in the 2020s, then they need to tank their butt off for the next couple of years, get themselves a really good, high picks in the draft. Otherwise, the future's not looking too good. As for the future of just this season alone, I'm going to say under 5 wins.
I'm going to say under as well. They lost Mekhi Beckham yesterday because he fractured his kneecap. Denzel Mims, who was a solid receiver for them, just found some way to slide out of their roster for some reason. I don't understand that one. But nonetheless, their defense is average, but that offense is a mess. There's no way they get over that. I say under.
I'm going to go with the under too.
3 for 3.
I still think that to this day the Jets made a mistake and drafted Zach Wilson. And I'm probably going to stay with that statement until he's no longer in the league. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. I mean, Mike White, some undrafted quarterback, stepped in for one game last year and had a better game than Zach Wilson had all season long. And it was against the AFC champions in the Cincinnati Bengals. So I'm not a believer in Zach Wilson. If he does start majority of the games, I don't think he's going to have very much success. I think the under suits them perfectly.
Mike White probably had the single craziest game in NFL history last season. If you want more on that, you got to look into it. Philadelphia Eagles, 9 wins last year, 9 wins this year. Now, Jalen Hurts is your quarterback. Your ceiling's not too high with him. You add A.J. Brown, your defense is okay. There's not a whole lot of flashy things on this team, but the Eagles consistently, year in, year out, seem to always never hit their floor, if that's how I'm trying to put it. Eagles at 9, boy, that's tough. That's basically saying I think they're going to be better than the Cowboys. What the heck? I'll give it to them. 9 wins right on the dot. I'm not putting any money on them.
I agree with that. 9 wins right there. They took a really solid player, Jordan Davis. As big as he is, that man can run. That man can push. I've been watching little clips of him in practice. I don't see anybody stopping him at all. But I'm not saying he's going to get the sack record. All I'm saying is he's just going to cause a lot of disruption on those front lines. Jalen Hurts is okay. They got a good, solid offense. They need to stay healthy. 9 wins. I'm staying right there.
I'm going to go with the under on this one. You're right, Jacob. Jalen Hurts has a ceiling, and we don't know how tall that ceiling is, but we did see some limitations. We saw some bad games from him last year, but the fantasy numbers make it seem like he's a decent quarterback because he can run the ball on the ground, and that's the thing that the Eagles are going to have to do if they want to get over on the wins this year. Run, 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 run. They led the league last year in rushing yards per game. Believe it or not, they had 10 more yards per game than Mike Colts did. So they could run the ball, and everybody knows that. But, when it gets colder in Philadelphia, can't rely on the run so much. You got to start airing it out. And A.J. Brown brings in that nice element for them, but I don't think it's going to be enough to compete with the Cowboys in that division. So I'm going to go with the under on this one.
Pittsburgh Steelers, 9 wins last year, 7.5 wins projected in 2022. Mike Tomlin's never had a losing Steelers season and he's not going to have one this year. I don't care if it's Kenny Pickett. I don't care if it's Mitchell Trubisky. I don't care who it is. They're nice. I mean, look at their receiving corps. I think it's one of the best young receiving corps in the league. You got the Johnson kid. You got George Pickens, who's an absolute savage. TJ Watt, he's going to be gunning for that single-season sack record this year. It's just too hard for me to imagine the Pittsburgh Steelers fall down this far. I'm going to give them 8 wins.
Under, there's no quarterback there for them to rely on. Mitchell Trubisky's had a terrible training camp. They don't really trust. They don't trust Mason Rudolph because he was terrible when he was in the games, and they don't believe in Pickett yet. Yes, they have a solid defense, but that offense is terrible. There's no Juju. There's no James Washington. All you're relying on is your running back, and they have a suspect offensive line. Under on the wins.
Yeah, Jacob, 8 wins is still a losing season, so he will get that losing record this season. With that being said, because 17 games, I know. With that being said, I'm probably going to join you guys for the under as well. I don't believe in Trubisky. I don't believe in Pickett just yet. But however, I do think Pickett does have that chance to kind of open some eyes, kind of like how Justin Herbert did in his rookie season. No one was really expecting him to be as well as he was. And I think Kenny Pickett's kind of in that same category. You know, he was the only quarterback selected in the first 2 rounds of the draft. So he does have something that the other quarterbacks don't have. I don't know what that is, but the Steelers are going to be the ones to figure that out. The defense is still going to be insane, which is going to keep them in a lot of games. So I think there's going to be a lot of low-scoring games in Pittsburgh this year. I think I'm going to stay right at where it is. I can't see them winning 10 games, but I can't see them losing 10 games.
San Francisco 49ers listed at 10, the same amount of wins they won last year. You insert a rookie quarterback, and I am on record for the last year saying that that was a terrible move for the 49ers to draft a quarterback while in Super Bowl contention. It comes back to haunt them. Deebo Samuel is amazing, but he's going to be doing it in 8 losses. I'm going to go 9-8 for the 49ers.
I agree on the under. Everything coming out of the San Francisco 49ers camp says Trey Lance is not ready. He's not even close. He's missing on throws. He's under on throws. He's just wildly inconsistent with his mechanics. I say under. He's not ready.
This one is a little challenging. The defense was 3rd in yards and 10th in points last year. Everyone's saying Fred Warner is arguably one of the best linebackers in the league. And Debo's coming back. You know, you still have that running game with Kyle Shanahan's genius mind that he's going to get receivers involved, and he's going to be kind of an unorthodox NFL offense. And I think that's going to fit Trey Lance, but I just don't think it's going to be this year. So I'm going to go with the under as well.
Seattle Seahawks listed at 5.5. Man, they're going to be lucky just to even get 5. Drew Lock or Geno Smith at quarterback. I mean, DK Metcalf, he might have a ton of receptions this year. Outside of that, nobody else is really going to be touching the ball. The defense is going to be on the field a ton. Pete Carroll, might be time for him to hang it up. Under.
I'm going to agree on the under. They're going to have a terrible year. By midway point of the season, they'll trade DK Metcalf to Chicago. It's just going to happen. I'm glad they got a contract with him done and all that, so we can just take that on. I'm really appreciative of that. They're under. Drew Lock is nobody. Geno Smith has been nobody. Pete Carroll is cooked. They just don't want to change regime and let go of the old past, but Seattle's cooked.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the under as well. No offensive line, no quarterback, not even a running back because Chris Carson retired. They don't have anybody on offense except for DK. So, I mean, unless he's going to be getting 2,000 yards this season and 25 touchdowns, I can't see this team being good at all. So I'm going to say the under as well.
The odds on that are pretty surprising, too, on Oddsshark. Under 5.5 for the Seahawks is plus 110. I repeat, James, plus 110.
It's Tampa an Bay underdog for them to lose. Okay.
I know, right? Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 11.5. Man, Leonard Fournette showed up about 25 pounds fat, overweight to camp. I don't know if this is a team that's going to get better as the years go on. They got Julio Jones. I already know James is going to take this away. He thinks he's suspect. Man, Tom Brady, he's still got that brain in him. And as long as Tom has that brain in him and the shoulder is attached to his body, they're going to get double-digit wins. As for the win total itself, I got to lean slightly under. I'll give them 11.
I am going right at the number. What was looking at it?
11 and a half.
11 and a half. I wish I can go 11 and a half. I'll
You'll
go
get
over.
a tie in there.
Yeah, I know. I'll go over because you can't pick half in a game, but I'll go over at 12 wins. That's just slightly where I'm going with that one. Offensively, they're loaded. They did lose their starting center, Ryan Jensen. I believe they also lost Tristan Wirth as well, their left tackle. So they're a little banged up there on the offensive line. They'll look to try to plug those spots up. Defensively, they're still solid. I believe that Tom Brady is Tom Brady. The devil never dies, and I don't understand why he just can't go away. At this point, it's annoying more than it was funny. Yeah, I'd say 12 wins.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the under here. I think 11 wins is about right for them. And you lose Gronk, you lose Ryan Jensen, you mentioned Martin, also lost the right tackle. So now you're going to be plugging in guys that don't really have a lot of experience with Brady, and we all know how complicated he is in pre-snap. So that's going to cause a lot of confusion as well. Julio's over the hill. I think that's just a ticket, bring fans at the stadium, bring in Julio, whatever. Mike Evans is going to do what he does every single year. Chris Godwin coming off of an injury. Fournette kind of slowing down. And, Brady's been in such a rhythm for all these years. He ends the season, does what he does, and he gets back into it. Well, this year he didn't do that. So is that going to be that much of a difference of his game? Probably not, because now it's mind over action at this point in his career. He knows he can't throw the ball as far as he used to, but he can still read a defense just as good as anybody. I think 11-6 is perfect for them.
Tennessee Titans, 12 wins last year, got them the first seed, 9.5 this year. I'm going to go under. I think questions around, should we insert Malik Willis are really going to start popping up. Derrick Henry can only do so much, can only carry the load so much. He is probably coming towards the backside of his prime when you're looking at it. If he gets hurt at all, this number is going to plummet. The defense, while it can be nice at some times, I just don't see it happening, especially with Matt Ryan in the division. I'm going to go slightly under 9 wins, perhaps.
I agree with you on Jacob. On 9 wins. What I've seen out of camp, what I've been hearing and reading, Malik Willis looks interesting, but he's not completely caught up with the playbook just yet. They will play Ryan Tannehill because they paid him the contract and they want to play the guy that they paid. Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry. The offensive line is solid. The defense is solid there. They do need to play a little better and a little more up to tempo and be a little more aggressive. But I think 9 wins is a good number under.
James?
And we lost him. Muted.
Oh, sorry, I'm here.
Yeah.
I was saying, I think the Titans are going to have to change the way that they utilize Derrick Henry this year. Because now they see that he's human. He's finally gotten injured. And they made the mistake of trying to rush him back last year, and it's just no good. So I think 9.5, I think they're going to get the under there. I think Tannehill's going to be under more pressure than he's ever been in his career. Now with Malik Willis, making those headlines, oh, we got a new young quarterback in, let's see what he can do. So if Tannehill starts off 3-4, 3-5, 3-6, in that range, then expect to see Malik Willis start getting some tweets at towards him. So we're going to go with the under.
Washington Commanders, 7.5 is the number, boys. Carson Wentz is their quarterback. Gibson's in there. McLaurin's in there. This division is pretty interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of teams, floating around 500. With the Eagles adding, some guys, and based off of my, crystal ball prediction that they're going to get Jimmy G, and that some of their skill guys will turn out, I'm going to say, because of the rest of the division turning up, the Commanders will have 7 wins, just like they had last year. Under.
I'm going to say under as well. So far, Carson Wentz hasn't had a good training camp at all, but on the other hand, Sam Howell has been reported to be okay, and obviously he's another quarterback that's not ready to take over, but he's seen as okay. So there's a potential for him to start and play some games, maybe, though that depends on what Carson Wentz is going to do. Ron Rivera is a good coach, but Riverboat Ron is Riverboat Ron for a reason. Jacob, you know that solidly because you saw him coach your team. I agree. Under is the right number. 7 wins.
They're going to hit the under, and I hope they hit the under. I don't think Carson Wentz. I think we've seen the best days of him. My mind has completely 180'd on him ever since last season. I think he's lost everything. I think he's lost his confidence, which I think is probably one of the most important things to have as a quarterback. Is you got to be confident, and I don't think that guy's confident at all. I mean, he just got shipped away like a calendar year after he got there for a guy who was much older than him. I mean, that's got to make you feel like the lowest piece of crap in the world. So, and now you only have Scary Terry to really deal with out in Washington. The defense underperformed significantly last year. That defensive line is going to have to step up if they want to win some games. But other than that, I just don't really see much from the secondary or much from the O-line. So I'm going to go with the under as well.
Boys, even with us an hour and 10 minutes into this, I figured that we got to throw a little bit of a wrinkle into this one. If you thought that was our last team, I'm going to give you one more. Me, James, and Martin all spent time, or currently live in St. George, Utah, where we all went to school, or are still currently going to school. The Utah Tech Trailblazers, formerly what we know them as Dixie State. I got Dixie State's football schedule pulled up right here. 11 wins. They're going to face one D2 team. They're fresh into the Division I schedule. We know what happened last season. They won only one game. It was to a D2 team. Things are starting to turn up. They got a nice coaching staff implemented. So, boys, the projection I am creating out of an 11-win season against 10 D1 teams and 1 D2 teams, we're going to say the line is 2.5. And I'm going to let you guys start with this one.
You already know where I'm going with this one. I already told you on Snapchat. It's over. I'm going over. It's going to be between... it's going to be either 3 or 4 wins, just slightly over. They will beat Sac State.
Who are the wins coming against?
They're going to beat Sac State week 1. They'll beat Chadron. You got to remind me of the schedule. Just
maybe Abilene Christian?
Maybe Abilene Christian. That's a possibility.
So other than that, I don't really see other than Tarleton.
Tarleton, that's an interesting one. They lost Tariq Bitson, who was their number 1 wideout last year, and the quarterback. He's not coming back either, so they're going to be a little iffy on offense. I say 3 or 4 wins, just slightly over.
I got to say the under. I love the coaching staff. I love that they brought in guys from Hawaii, and I love that they're going to do the run and shoot. That actually excites me. But after reading an article that they have 6 quarterbacks competing for the starting job, that just made me lose all hope in this team. So
okay, wait a minute. I'll put that to bed. We already know there's reports coming out of camp. Kobe is the starting quarterback.
Yeah, it's
I
going to be
don't know.
Kobe.
Did we not
I
see
don't know.
enough of that guy last year? I
We
mean,
saw
No, you're thinking of
Oblad?
Oblad.
no,
You're thinking
yeah.
of Oblad. Yeah,
You're thinking of Oblad and
They
Cody
played
Wilstead.
pretty much the same. So,
No, Kobe is a better quarterback. When we look at the quarterbacks from last year,
he was. He
Oblad,
was.
Tracy, and Wilstead. Wilstead had terrible accuracy. Oblak could never push the ball. Kobe could at least push the ball. Kobe could be a little accurate. You could go back and look at those throws he made to Keith Davis. He made some stellar throws on the sideline
Key.
going towards the end zones. I'm telling you, it's gonna be over. They have talent on that offense. They have talent on the defense. Just get the offensive line right, please. For the love of God, get it right.
Martin, the team has talent. If Devin Osborne can get some really sticky gloves, if he can find what the baseball team uses in the MLB and just get all the stickum on the gloves, and he can stay healthy with that hamstring, he's gonna be a nice weapon, probably the best weapon on this offense. They
That's
are
why,
gonna lose Drew Canelli Robles, who
yes.
had some nice games last year. I think he had over 500 total yards in the season. And for Dixie State at the time, that was not bad at all. Martin, when I'm looking at the schedule here, I think they're going to beat Chadron State. I don't know about Abilene Christian, Tarleton, Sacramento State, but what I can tell you is that I think they're going to actually split the season series with Southern Utah. They face them twice, one at
Yes,
home, one at
there's
away.
no.
They have the homecoming game November 5th at home at Greater Zion Stadium in St. George. I think there's a chance they can split one of those two against SUU. I've heard things about the Thunderbirds up there that aren't too good early into the offseason. I think they're going to split one. They're going to beat Chadron State as well. Outside of that, they're certainly not beating BYU. I got to go at 2 wins.
Like I said, I think it's 4 wins. I think it's four. Could be 5 if they find a way to sweep SUU.
Oh, and
I think you're
shout out to
being
my
very
man Max
optimistic.
Christensen on the D line. But for the Coin Flip podcast, Jacob Zimmerman, Martin Kelly, Mr. Guaranteed Jaimes Geren in the house. This one was a fun one, fellas. Almost an hour and 20 minutes. We gave all of our projections for all 32 teams and Utah Tech as well, our home school. Any last word, fellas? Any shocking predictions? Bears to the Super Bowl, Martin?
Of course, Bears to the Super Bowl. You're lucky I didn't go 15 and 16 and 1 on my projections. All right, I wasn't gonna go that nuclear crazy. They're still gonna get 11 wins. You watch. Um, Good luck in Iowa, man. Send us all the info. Let us know how it goes, man. Let us know how it's like living in Iowa. Miss you, man. Wish you were back in St. George, but I'm happy for what you got in Iowa, man. Good luck.
Yeah, going to be in Hawkeye County, man. You got to get to a couple of games. I'm telling you, you're going to love it.
I'm gonna have to start following Iowa pretty close because there's always a chance they can sneak in there. Maybe upset Ohio State, Penn State. Put the two together, they win the Big Ten perhaps. So who knows? But I appreciate the good words. I love you guys as well. Hope you guys are doing well. We'll stay in touch. I'd love if we could do the same thing with the NBA too. But that is going to do it. The Coin Flip Podcast. This has been probably one of our best videos, longest videos in quite some time. Recording this on a Tuesday night. Might take me a day or two to get it up, but that's going to do it. Jacob, Martin, James, we are out. Signing off. Have a good one.